Well, the track hearing is Demetori, one conclusion. And this is a track for sure. It's fucking crazy. I didn't know Demetori could do math rock, but apparently Demetori can. Well, I've known that for a while now, actually, for about almost 10 years now, I think. Now, I've known Demetori. Obviously, a band, not the actual people, sadly. But this track is so interesting. It's just like, it's one of the earlier tracks before they did like metal and stuff. But it's also just so equally fascinating because it's basically math rock, but crazier. It has like darker and brighter tones to it as well, which is weird. And it also showed me like one of my favourite chords, I think, on guitar, which is so underutilised. Basically, it's using like a harmony, and then I think it's doing like a like step up next note from a power chord. I don't know what to call it. Again, I'm not a music theory person thingy. It just sounds so interesting. I can actually play it on guitar if I wanted to. I've got a guitar next to me. But basically, I'd say it's, to visualise it, 7th fret D string, 5th fret G string, and then 8th fret B string. It's just such a nice chord. It's just mixing two elements in it, almost like a dissonant and then a harmony. So yeah, it's a really unique chord, and you can also vary it with the chord progression. I think the next one up is probably D string 8th fret, if I'm not mistaken. And that adds a very unique element to it. Yeah, I just like this track. It's just very unique. Chaotic, for sure. But I still like it. Anyway, that's it, so let's move on. Well, this is something interesting / fun people might find interesting and fun. But it's kind of annoying as well, as you'll probably understand. This has been a topic in technology communities for a long time now, and that is the naming schemes. Yeah, this old topic. The thing is, this existed since like 2015, I think. I think even then people were saying the naming schemes that we have for components are absolutely ridiculous. Because to someone who doesn't or isn't familiar with them, it's going to be confusing to hear RTX 5070 and then RX like 5700, yeah, 5700. But even then, like Ryzen 5700, like, again, it's like you're just saying two random things together, and it's got no defining meaning there. Whilst it's easy to sort of visualise how performance and I don't know what else there would be to it would go. As in, it explains like the core count and stuff. I also don't understand why they keep to it. Like, why is it just these numbers on the end? It makes no sense. So it's always a bit bizarre to me. They could have done like Ryzen, like, I don't know. I forgot they do the series. Is it like the 5 series or something? And they have like ones in between for mobile processors, I think. It could be like Ryzen 5 and then perhaps like frequency or something. So like 5712, probably for like a later processor. I swear like 9900X is quite high. I need to check that again. It's 5.6, so it would be like a 5.6. So Ryzen 9, 5.6, 12. That gives you all the things you need to know. It's got the peak core frequency, and the cores. Easy naming scheme, job done. But instead we've got this stupid one with, well, it's a Ryzen 9 9900X, which can be confused with a 9070 XT or something, or even then Intel 9900K. Again, just such a bad naming scheme. Do I even need to explain this? Is a question here. So oftentimes it comes down to that. It's like, why though? Why is this so shit? It's just baffling to me. I don't know what other naming schemes we could do other than potentially giving it like names of powerful figures or something. I mean, like good ones and not controversial ones. I'm not sure about something like I don't know. I'm trying to think of one actually. It's kind of difficult, to be fair. Again, there has to be a better way to name this shite, because it is absurd. Just to obviously put it out there, it is an absurd notion that we for some reason have to give in to these fucking stupid ass names. And yeah, again, just do it verbatim, master verbatim. So it just doesn't make sense. It's such a dumb naming scheme. I don't know what the best thing is. I think that there maybe needs to be like a naming scheme for the types of cards that we have, like obviously video cards. Like Nvidia had the bright idea with like the Titan, for example, even though it's more of a workstation card, I believe. I remember when that used to be a thing. That's a fucking throwback. But you know, that was better than this. It's better than this shit we got now. Like RTX this and RTX that. But it's also just the accessibility point of view, and they're not profiting off that, it seems, because there is no fucking accessibility. It's just been removed. Like, there's just nothing there. Because they decided that for some reason we don't deserve a fucking proper naming scheme. Again, it's ridiculous, and other companies seem to follow suit with this. They just do weird shit. And, you know, sometimes it can be about the dates, but I don't know, like, how did Noctua come up with theirs, for example? I'm genuinely curious about that. Again, it feels so ridiculous. Why do we still have this sort of thing? And there has to be solutions out there, obviously. You could be using, like, I don't know, maybe not foreign names, but names that are familiar with us, at least. But not like people names, as in, yeah, so, but even my idea of what the name could be potentially much better. So again, I'm not sure. It's complicated. So I don't even think it's really that simple. That. Yeah. Don't know what else to start, to be honest. It's one of those things. Again, I feel like this is a topic that needs to be addressed, especially going into the future, if there is one, because at this point I'm willing to say that the world is ending. I'm not 100% sure it's going to stay alive for that. So it's concerning to me. So yeah, it's just very strange. Yeah, I don't know where to start, so I'll move on. So apparently there's a place on the Reform Council that's trying to remove DEI, essentially. Starting to remove like training or something, I heard. I'm not sure I got the full story. But man, it is so fucking dystopian, and the thing is, you're not going to realise when it's cold, really, because, I mean, you are. You are just going to realise it's gone. Because DEI is such a pillar of not just a consumer base of products and services, but also the reason they exist to begin with. That is fucking stupid. Why the hell are people even like this? Genuinely. It's a genuine fucking mystery. Because DEI, again, is fundamental to workplaces. It's always been a thing. It's never caused any problems. And so long as that obviously remains a sentiment, things will be fine. But it seems to Reform, that doesn't actually matter to them, even though they themselves had encouraged DEI at one point or another. Which is also a massive fucking hypocrisy. And also it's weird as well, because I don't really like revealing personal details, but there are places that have flags up, like literally LGBTQ plus progress flags. And even though this place is pretty much right dominated, it has one, which I'm genuinely confused by. It's such a bizarre thing to see, given that, again, these people on the right, it seems. So it's just very fucking weird. So I just don't really like the aspect of reform we're doing here. But at the same time, people aren't going to realise how bad it is until they see it actually happen. So these anti-woke people, they'll start to see bills go up. They'll start to see many people fired from their jobs, replaced with AI as well, because that's what oligarchs want, which we're obviously going to see Nigel Farage doing. So it's fucking insane. I don't have the words for this, because you're going to see absolute societal collapse. You're going to see class collapse as well, unfortunately not for the wealth, but the poor. That's all it's going to be for. So there's going to be so many problems. Just, I don't know, but you need to see this for what it is, I think. That's what a lot of reform and restore voters need to face the reality of. The reality is, when you remove DEI, and that includes even immigrants, there's going to be collapse. And this is the only way it'll show you the fuck up. For the complete idiots you are, is to actually see it firsthand, to see what's happening. Unfortunately, there's no guarantee, because there is essentially no brain cells in a lot of these voters here, a lot of these idiots. So we may not even see that, technically speaking. But, it's until that point comes, and we don't know when that is. It's either the next general election, if we ever get one, or Andy Burnham, or it might just be, 2029, when there's a proper general election rather than an emergency one. But also, we're already seeing the council's obviously doing this, so we're seeing it in full effect, and people will see firsthand how bad it is. And luckily, I think certain places are becoming less partial towards these sort of things, towards the rise of reform and restore. I don't think it's perfect at the moment, for sure. There's difficult issues, but it's certainly going to cause problems and disruptions. You also have to remember that DEI is also probably people who teach your children, people who support your children, people who even just serve you at the restaurants. Like, again, it's such a big thing. You cannot ignore this. It's just slowed down. So I don't know what to add, but that's about it. So let's move on. I think possibly for the next year or so, there's going to be some of the most difficult sort of decisions on my life. And it's not really for the reasons you might be thinking, but rather the circumstances we're in at the moment. I was really thinking about this, again, with the PC stuff, about how essentially the world is ending. Nobody realises it, but everything going on at the moment is just more and more proof that the world is just coming to an end in its own way. And I think that is a very damning fact, because it means, as you probably suspected, that we don't really have long left. It could be years, it could even be a decade or two. But I think at this point, I think it's just about making the most of it and trying to do the most ethical thing in between. I think that's really important. It doesn't mean I'm going to give up my lifestyle. To be honest, meat is disgusting, animal products for that matter. But I'm going to sure as hell try. I'm going to make things as good as they can be for myself, and to try and make sure I do good on the everyone's part. It is ridiculous, and one of the dystopian facts I think about is, what if people start publicly admitting that they're going to commit suicide because of a restore, and all the politics that they've caused problems for us. And I think that is really important. I honestly do. And I think about that because if you were to even highlight a post related to it, as would probably happen, you would see that in reality, like, this is actually a problem. You'd see that the people who are voting for these places would actually just laugh at the posts, they laugh at these suicide attempts. Because it's like they're trying to oppose, again, this party, and the reality is, they're just fed up with living in this current situation, in this current world, because it is shit. Like, nobody likes it here. Nobody likes this crap. So, of course, I think people are just going to get sick and tired of this, really. Like, what do we even say at this point? I do think, again, we're in quite a lot of danger with regards to everything going on around the world and all these issues. And we are seeing the world essentially come to an end, whether we realise it or not. It's just a harsh reality. And that's just what's happening. What do I even fucking add? Yeah, like, people are just gonna ignore it and literally pretend that there's like no issues. Again, it's going to be dystopian. It's going to be people who ignore these suicide attempts and stuff and act out as if nothing actually happens. Yet the consequences are so severe that we cannot ignore it. So again, there aren't many good solutions there, any good, like, I don't know, problem solvers, I don't know what to call that. But again, that's why I'm sort of thinking about just going extreme with it and basically using my money to support myself, to support my own mental health at this time, as much as I can, so I can still keep going as it, in this current shit state. And that's all I can do, really. I'm still suffering because of the consequences that happen around the world, really, but they're happening in the UK too. Keir Starmer was pretty much on oligarch at that point. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure he is. Whether or not you agree with it, there is proof that he's in bed with billionaires and CEOs and stuff. Again, look at the dinners he's been to. Yeah, but I'm looking at the things I'm thinking of buying and stuff, and yeah. I think the most exciting thing is probably guitars. I'll have to sell two of mine because I'm not going to be able to support the price of these without that. To support more organisations. Gonna try like zero sugar drinks. I'm just gonna risk it at this point. There ain't much to lose with that. Just fed up, and sugar probably adds too many calories anyway. And the problem is, I can already balance it out anyway. That's the weird thing is, my breakfast already is full of fucking sugar. So if I can eliminate 1 point of sugar, that's still good for me, and that doesn't really impact me with the side effect of like the insulin resistance and shit. As far as I'm aware. Yeah, I don't know what to add really. And tiring shit. Also, I think this is kind of a warning as well to other people, to people who are at least nice, who understand what's wrong in the world and what the problems are. I think this is your warning sign that you do need to sort of prepare for the worst. In an economy where if everything's going up in price. You need to prepare for something like a normalisation of piracy and thievery, essentially, robbery even. But that includes even being broken into, so not just doing it, but being broken into as houses. We just need many ways to prepare. I hope Owen Jones, perhaps in the UK, does something about this, about the economy as it currently stands. Sort of report on what can be done, and see as he brings on experts on just, well, not necessarily experts, actually more like other voices or other people, but just talk about the ways to address a broken economy under reform and restore. And we have the advantage as someone, as people rather, who don't support them, in that we can review anything they do and also defend ourselves against anything they do. Again, that's really important. We sort of have more power than a reform and restore ever will, even with a possible ICE reality. Again, they're pretty weak. They're not going to survive. So yeah, don't really know what to ask, to be honest. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah, I got 17 plus things here. Actually, no. There's actually about 14 plus things to buy, and then I got a bit more as well as some things in between. Unfortunately, Amazon, because they're the only place that sells the shit anymore. Just really fucking annoying. It's time to get some clothing. I'm trying to buy some classical and stuff. And also need to buy some stuff for the house, potentially. Yeah. Don't really know what else there is, really. Yeah. Again, there's a warning sign. Again, times are changing for the worse, and we really need to prepare for that. Otherwise, we're just going to be left behind. We're going to be left in the sand, and we get buried, which isn't so fun. Anyway, I better move on. Well, here's another insight into PC problems, and that is also getting away from Windows. So I wanted to do this for a long time, but the problem is the only alternatives are not good. So you got Mac OS, which obviously is Apple, and I don't like that. I tried it years ago. I fucking hated it. Back when I was in school, and everything just around the Apple ecosystem. Actually on a free trial of Apple TV now, fun fact. Watching a specific show beginning with S. And the experience is not good. It's utter garbage. But as I'm looking into operating systems alternatives, I'm realising that you really cannot find anything that's good, because Linux is in its entire tree of software and operating systems, obviously. But the problem is there's so many out there that you just don't know what to pick. So you've already got this conflation problem. But then you have these really bizarre things on it where they're not necessarily Windows compatible. So if you were to run a game, for example, somehow that needs to be emulated through a Windows thing. So you've already got that problem. And that problem is no doubt going to cause many issues. It's just bizarre. How fucking weird. Because this is the most basic thing to get right. And yet if you can't get that right, then you've already eliminated 90% of your fucking user base. Probably even 95%. So if you can't use, I don't know, even something like Google Chrome, which no doubt a lot of people use and used to use, or you're going to run into problems here. Because people will use that for browsing, and they have all their data. No brainer. So again, you can't be having these compromises. It's like you have to choose either not to use Windows software or choose to use it. Like, it's so fucking bad. So that's one of the problems. And then I tried to do some research because I found out Microsoft apparently has like various vulnerabilities, also probably because of AI at this point. I found out that there are many different sort of user-friendly operating systems. The problem is, it's probably not going to be easy. I tried to look at an article here, and I'll do it again, not beginner friendly, and there wasn't any images for some reason. But it doesn't give me an idea. You know, if I want to use Linux, then I have to look for these backwards compatible things. And that in itself creates many problems. So I'm running something like FL Studio, which is like Windows again. I'm running, sadly, Microsoft Word, because when I used alternatives like LibreOffice, it didn't really work. And also the Notepad on Windows is extremely useful. So again, you eliminate a lot of these issues. And, well, they're not issues really. They're actually good parts of it, but again, you're removing them. By switching to Linux, and you've got something like linking your phone to a computer, which is a important aspect, especially for me, as I'm better at typing than I am typing on the phone. The typing keyboard, I mean. And then you've got File Explorer, which I've opened. I've got tabs as well. I've got so many things open and on my taskbar. And yet this all has to run on this system, among other hardware. So again, it becomes an issue, finding what the best option is. Yeah, it says here that from a article called ZenArmor, best Linux distributions for beginners: Ubuntu, Linux Mint, Zorin OS, Elementary OS, Pop OS, Manjaro? Huh? Change that name, please. Fedora, and Mux Linux. But yeah, once again, I just find issues with these. Even look at the interface on some of them. Just doesn't seem great. And well, let me look up like Windows, like usability. Let's see if it can. Fuck is that noise? God, it's always the fucking neighbours. 1 minute they're burning shit, and the next minute they're doing this. So what the fuck is with them? Absolute idiots. But like, compatibility is probably the big thing. Because all it mentions here is device compatibility, but not Windows compatibility. So, software. What about software? Software. No, not coming up. Software compatible. No, nothing. So again, there doesn't seem to be any good options there. Even though it's probably better to go open source, it still even opens up risks. Like, what about your antivirus software? What about something like Windows Security, which itself is actually somewhat good? Cybersecurity Channel tests it quite frequently, and it worked. It definitely blocked a lot of the bigger threats, but unfortunately they are the like well-known threats rather than ones that are actively running a line of code that can be dangerous. So it's often not a good idea to just rely on that. But still, it's good for a beginner, and that's one of the issues you open yourself up to on Linux, because if there ain't a fucking antivirus behind it, what the fuck are you doing? So you have to look at the options that again Windows offers and think, how do you improve it? How do you improve on that with Linux? And also something like Windows Security, like yes, that would be a good way to do that. It's really important. So that's another thing. I want to look at like images of this, but no article really provides. Here's one. This is one for like Linux Mint. Looks like all the windows. Surprisingly, they look a bit like Mac OS too, Elementary OS. So Win OS, a bit more Windows. Pop OS, not sure that's supposed to be. Lixel. And there's Kubuntu. Looks more like Windows. Ubuntu. It's more like Windows Ubuntu. Fuck's sake, how many Ubuntus are there? Ubuntu Budgie. Don't know what that's supposed to be like. KDE Neo. But yeah, I guess the thing is, I would be willing to try Linux on my new system, but the big barrier to entry is just the fact that I can't seem to use like Windows software on it, so that's one of the problems. Yeah, also like I mentioned is Windows likes, like not anything like compatibility, but Windows likes. So again, how do you know even this software that typically runs on Windows runs on Linux as well? Because oftentimes they ask you, would you like to run this for Windows? Would you like to run this for x86 or x64-bit or whatever they call it? And that's often related to Windows, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, because you get like different operating system types. Maybe this is like stupidly old knowledge, because I remember when Windows used to be split up into like 32-bit and 64-bit. But again, you get that sometimes. I'm pretty sure Microsoft still uses that, if I'm not mistaken. The Java edition, I mean. So again, I'm just not sure I want to move. I really do fucking want to, and the urge is greater more than ever now. But it also just needs those things, and I guess I could ask them like a subreddit. I know it's going to be filled with sweaty people who just fucking are like, well, you're going to have to transition, aren't you? Just shut up and do it. So what am I supposed to do? And I've got all this other software in the background. I literally made a list of like software to install if I do get my new system, and it's quite a long list, but it isn't even everything. I've got all my music bits there and stuff. I've got bits I still use. Some bits haven't even appeared for some reason. I don't know what the deal is with that. Like, let's see. Yeah, some bits definitely aren't showing on there, which is also just very weird. I'm going to need to go into more, I think, install apps maybe. Because I want to figure out what else I actually have installed. Figure out top by drivers. Okay. This may be a better list actually. I wonder how you can compile it though, because that'd be far better as an alternative. Like, I don't know. I could also just, I don't know, maybe video it instead. Might be a better way. Again, like adding these two things, I want to know how the fuck you can actually make it work as well. Because if it is even just like transitioning a few bits of software rather than everything, I want to know, obviously, what to use as well. Or just the stuff like I commonly use applications here instead. And I'm trying to think of what ones I use I don't pin my taskbar, because that's really the only way I pin a bunch of stuff. I've got OBS on here, Steam, for audio obviously, File Explorer, Notepad, Word, like an Excel. Also like a video downloader thing, Foobar. So Foobar's like a music player. I've got like my music stuff, FL Studio, Tux Guitar, Audacity, and Paint. So like, probably use GIMP for that. And GIMP will probably be better. Well, it's only got the save issue though. I'm not sure if it has the save and export thing that Clip Studio has, but I prefer it when you can just save an image. It's far better. But then there's my EPOS microphone. I'd like to keep my volume mixer on there as well with story about that. My PC always has issues with that. Why do I even have it open anyway? I don't know why I don't close it. It's a good question. Why do I even have this on? So I can't just right click on it. Or not. No. Wait, fucking... I'm confused by that. Now the Windows volume mixer is useless, that's why. But this one is fucking pointless. Like, what are you doing? It doesn't even show you everything that's on your system. It's even showing ones that don't even have voices. Like, fuck's sake, man. Anyway, I also need to run like VPN software as well, so again, there needs to be that sort of that solution. I need to be able to run these things because they are crucial to what I'm doing. It's just fucking insane. I don't understand it. And then also, let's not forget the fact that I think just because, again, it's like an open source thing, it doesn't mean it's not vulnerable. I mean, the one thing you're getting from this with, again, like, moving is you just get away from the Microsoft ecosystem. But the issue is, you also get away from what is essentially oftentimes better security and even something like those features. The features are important. And what's the other thing I was thinking of here? Say accessibility is probably the most important thing. That's why people won't even touch Linux. Yeah, I don't know. But I guess I have those concerns too. Like, is Linux vulnerable? Can Linux have security vulnerabilities? I'm gonna look up. It even comes up because it uses Bing search. Linux vulnerabilities and test analysis from Linux box. Test vulnerabilities, buffer overflow, SQL injections. Web-based applications, if it's not properly sanitized, attacks and injects malware. Privilege escalation could gain higher levels of privilege if a root privilege is a vulnerability. Can run commands through user, okay. Not sure what else there is. Yeah, I can't really see a firewall configuration. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, you know, I think again, if like Microsoft do end up fucking things up badly, I think they are liable to obviously pay out. Yeah, they have to give you fucking money, don't they? Because they've already fucked up your system and lost like years of work probably. So they have to do something about that too. But yeah, again, it's like really complicated shit, and I don't really know what the best solution is either. Because even though I want better performance and stuff, and probably a better hardware, software experience too, again, too much accessibility issues, and I have too much to lose on there as well. Again, I've got all my stuff on here merely backed up in different ways, but it's still also has its place here, and again, Linux could potentially even destroy that. It could even change things like how do like the partitions work as well. That's something I wondered actually. Because there are like partitions and stuff with storage, and when you set up a new drive, you have to typically use a partition. And to configure like a partition and stuff, you need to go in like specific software, and I can't remember if you have to reset your system. But I don't know how it works on Linux. So if you have like a drive, like do you have to partition it then? I'm assuming you do, but I don't know. Again, there's a lot of questions around it. So I don't know. But again, it's just all those things, I don't know. I guess I'll have to do research. I think Windows compatibility is the main thing, but also I just guess that the security vulnerabilities are an issue in itself. I guess it's about weighing up things too. So I don't know what's that. Let's move on. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby. What? Oh, I didn't see you there. Baby. No, I wanted to mention about the Linux stuff again because I think it's important. I think. What's this place in Australia? What the fuck? Yeah, basically, I think Linux is a no go. Because it seems like everyone's saying the same thing. It's like you got these elitists saying you need to get used to it, you need to fucking get off Microsoft because it's fucking vibe coding or something like that. I've never heard the term vibe coding really. But it's just all this sort of shit dunking on what I currently do on Windows when, I do this for a reason. That's my fucking hobby. And also if it becomes my job, like what then? Again, I can't be risking anything here. It's better to go with the more vulnerable Windows than a very broken Linux. But anyway, I got some advice on it, and honestly, I am disappointed with the response cycle because they don't seem to really answer much. So you got people saying that the software side of things is going to be really difficult because you have to sort of transform your workflow, and I don't know how you're even supposed to do that because with all the things I've got, like Clip Studio Paint, which I don't even know if it has Linux, then something like Microsoft Word, which I can only use because LibreOffice doesn't work properly. There's so many things, and this just creates more and more fucking issues. Like just insane amounts. So I don't even necessarily know what the solution is still, even despite this. But I have had the useful suggestion of using Linux as like a virtual machine, and I don't know. I don't know how much it costs to run a virtual machine, if it does cost anything. It's tempting to try it, just on that, but I'm not 100% sure. Also, I need to somehow be able to run my files through it or something. Artwork, music. And also need me to try a new digital audio workstation, so that also adds a complication. Frankly, I just want to stick to what I know, because I don't really want to figure out things again unless there's that actually objectively good digital audio workstation out there, which as far as I know there's not. They're all pretty shit in their own ways. I think even Reapables, I can't even use it, I don't think. That's how bad it was. It just didn't work or something. I even tried like not Amplitude, that's a thingy. Ample something? I can't remember, it's actually a Sony thing, I believe. It's kind of useless as well. But this is what I mean. Just too many fucking problems with this. And this is why I even bring it up. Because I want to swap. Again, I want to get away from the micro slop. But once again, the biggest factor in this is whether Linux is accessible or not. And again, those 2 points, is it 2 or just 1 actually? Have already been refuted, so no. It's not good. It's not as good as people say it is. Again, proving the point. That's why people don't swap. Even with a slightly worse performance on PC, obviously, on Windows. But then the second point I asked about was, I believe, is it VPNs? I think it might be VPNs. Because it turns out that to watch certain shows you need a VPN. I've had to use that for like Crunchyroll, set my place to the US and watch One Piece. Thankfully Crunchyroll doesn't block it, and I appreciate them for that. Honestly, Crunchyroll W, even though the rest of the site is shit. Just is. Also the fact you have to license it for each country is a bit stupid. Frankly, I'll just get rid of those laws. They're so fucking pointless. It should be an accessible entertainment thing. Yeah, basically that's about that. What else? There is VPNs, I've got to say. Apparently you use them all the time, but I don't know if that means that there are some that work on there and some that don't. so it's hard to know. So, what you know, not fucking. Well, I'm tired and got some sleep. So that's one of them. The next thing I believe was security, because I asked about this, and they said it doesn't come with default security, which is already not good. It just feels very fucking weird. What? Why is it not coming with security? You do realise that one of the things Windows has over Linux is the fucking security. How ridiculous. Like, just why? But I suppose at least it means you can run your own, but also it depends as well on what's out there, because again, it has to be Linux. So this is the thing. You're making a complete swap. It's not like, you know, an iOS Android situation where the things you swap are quite minimal, and if anything, you can find anything on like iOS on Android. I remember I did that swap years ago really anxiously, and it turned out to be fine. But this isn't the same situation. It's like transferring a house to another house. That's the best analogy for it. So you can't really do that. It's just not possible. And then I forgot the last question. I need to look at it again, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, the one. Actually, no, there's a multiple one. Actually, there's a third one. Which is different. So the second one. So the second one included security and VPNs. Okay, so third question. I was asking about accessibility, and again, people saying, you know, it takes effort to even get into that, because apparently there's a lot of stuff involving terminals and stuff, which obviously I can't really do. It's a bit ridiculous that there's even that requirement for something like Linux. That just doesn't make sense to me, personally. So there's already another thing against Linux. Again, maybe just look for a viable alternative here. This isn't like some sort of fucking competition we're trying to beat on the others. Like, I hate Windows, it goes without saying, but I'm going to hate Linux even more. I can't lie to myself about it being good the way that other people do. So yeah, that's obviously a big issue. It's accessibility is seemingly not accessible. And then what's the last question? I forgot that for some reason. The hardware. So apparently it should handle it. I'm not sure. It's just weird. Apparently it runs out of the box, but I don't know. Hardware apparently not an issue then, I guess. It's not really easy not to. So yeah, again, I'm not convinced on it. You know, there's obviously a big part of me that wants to see that it is good and would work. But this is the biggest problem. Why? It doesn't have Windows compatible software integrated into it, so you can't basically transfer your workflow. It doesn't have default security, but it does allow VPNs, but again you have to rework it. It's basically everything, same as the former thing here, prior. I think it's prior thing actually. You do need to change everything. So it includes everything that I've got installed here and bought, by the way, paid for and paying for, needs to change. Like, this isn't fucking good. This is shit. And yet, you got this outcry about changing to Linux. Like, piss off. That isn't even the other parts of it. The other part is accessibility, which Windows itself hasn't got much of. But, you know, Linux is not going to be accessible, not to the average person either. It's just going to be awful, I think. So yeah, that creates issues, and the hardware compatibility, important one. Again, apparently there's straight out the box, it just works. I don't know how that really works though, because I've heard that you need specific drivers and stuff, but I guess not. It's just very strange. So yeah, so again, it's not worth it. I don't see any point. Just absolutely fucking useless to me. So yeah, guess I'll wait another decade for the next to get an update, but by that point we'll probably all be dead. Or underwater. Or burning up alive. Or something very pleasant, like drowning. Who knows? Anyway, let's move on. Well, I did it. Did a sort of coming out thing and says found my sexuality. And, the response went okay, I think. It didn't go awful. I would say it's probably, of all the responses I've had to it anyway, is not the most positive one. It's positive, but some parts of it just maybe not. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of worth it, but also not. I don't know, with the back and forth about that in my head at the moment. But the reason I did it is just because I'm fed up. In the way the world's going at the moment, I ain't got much to lose, if there's another few people I just got off my life. I don't really care. Yeah, it's not a big deal for me. Even though they were nice people to me. Just have to say outright, I can't really understand why, these parts would be kind of like, like why do you dislike me for this? It just makes no sense, not in line with what they do either. Yeah, obviously I've done it, the reaction's been okay. I don't know if anyone else knows about it though. But it's sort of a big deal, it's a big weight off my shoulders. And in a way it's sort of mended a relationship here, I guess. Because it is kind of the thing that was stopping me from being able to go out and be able to confront people. Because that's like the main point of anxiety again. The way the world's going, it would seek to have my existence just wiped off the face of the earth, just because of my sexuality, which I didn't choose, by the way. Frankly, everyone who's in a position of power or politics is a complete fucking moron if they think they can change it. So once again, truth is on our side, and you can't eliminate it. The fact it can just happen out of nowhere to have a sexuality, that's different to the norm, obviously. Again, that's like proof. So you cannot ignore it, you cannot get rid of it. But I does see if some of the other things are so fine. Start selecting my muscle. I don't know what's happened there. So, yeah, just like a weird line across my arm. I don't know what that is, but now the other things are like the anti-fascist stuff and the anti-migration, but there's also that trauma bit which I didn't really mention. But I think the anti-migration stuff is going to be harder to address because I think some of the people I know are fine with that, even if they do have weird opinions about it, but others are just not. It's just not okay. Again, literally, what I said before about what this involves, and it's like, they think that lynching immigrants because they exist or because they've done something is a viable alternative. But that's just shit. It's all the same with like these idiots in prison who kill inmates for the same sort of thing. But again, it doesn't solve anything, so it shows what the truth knows as well. It's not me just saying it, it's the truth. So yeah, so I don't know how to address it really. What was the other thing? Is it anti-fascist? Yeah, that's it. Again, like class issues, it's just, I still have the same belief. I think no matter what fucking class you are, if you stand beside people who are fighting for what's right, I probably won't take many issues with you. I think if you're filthy rich, I'd take problems, but if you have like above a certain income or even able to afford things that no other person can, then I'll take issues. 'Cause that's really the problem. Is kind of like you're doing all this sort of selfishly, but you're not giving to others in a way. It's just weird. I don't really know the easy way to address that, because it's kind of a weird sort of thing to look past. You know, growing up in sort of a poor household, it does have an effect on you. And you realise a lot of the things that you've been given obviously weren't up to snuff, and compared to other people, you know, they get it far better. Like, for fuck's sake. So it's a bit ridiculous, and that's why there is even a point to make about whether someone's kind and whether there is like a class issue and stuff. Admittedly, there's like good celebrities out there, philanthropists, and you know, they share the wealth, but still you get those who don't, and it's just shitty. So it's just a real shame. You know, waste all that talent and wealth just for nothing, really. And as I've said before, I guess that it really goes in line with my belief about not being greedy with the amount of money I have. Admittedly, I need money more than ever now, like just about £5,000 or something. It's probably the ideal number. And that way I could get a lot of things done, a lot of things I actually need. Actually, it may even be like 7,500, that's probably the cost I'm looking at. But again, I wouldn't want to change my situation that much, really. I'd like to move house, I'd like to go somewhere quieter, potentially even on my own. But the problem is, I cannot afford that, and there isn't really any places. Even then, I also have to remember that one of the problems with this is if I do find a place again, if it's like, for example, there's a house with 2 bedrooms and suddenly it was lived in, but it wasn't anymore. There is a concern there. Why? Why the fuck? And how the fuck? Like, why is that house even up there? That's my question. Because it has to be there for a reason. Or someone died, or someone got bored, or someone didn't like the house. They're the only reasons I can identify. So again, that comes with a complication. That's why I probably need like a shit ton more money just building a house, buy a bit of land, get it built over time, and you know, make it suitable for me. And that's the thing I wanted to look up actually. Like, can you soundproof shipping containers? Because I was wondering, because shipping container homes were good. What's about home, isn't there? What? What am I making homers? The shipping container homes are cool. I think they're a really neat idea. It seems like they could be done well. But again, that soundproofing, it's going to be the big thing there. So it's going to be important. Yeah. That was either really. I just really need a home for myself. Like, for my needs, for my specific situation, and that's it. You know, I'm not looking for a fancy house like I looked at before in my sort of dream home scenario. Even then, that's like below the like higher class sort of stuff. So again, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I do like the idea of like a shipping container house if it can be sort of done nicely. So, 2 guys living together, Tyler and Todd. Shipping container home. Looks interesting. Yeah. Just gonna watch that later, I think. Yeah, what else was there? Trauma. Yeah, I just don't like being reminded of trauma. I don't think anybody does, to be fair, but in this case, it was like, it hit really fucking close to home, like too close, in my opinion. And that ultimately led to the burnout and stuff, and the shutdown. Because it is just, it's tough. There isn't much to say on it, really. It is a rough situation, and that's that, I think. I do think that there isn't really many ways around it, but I think people just need to shut up about it. Like, fuck's sake, there's bad news every fucking day. And guess what? We know that because every day that Trump's alive, every day that Keir Starmer's here, every day that even that Netanyahu is alive, all these days are bad, even Putin. But yeah, it's just, there's no good news until, again, those things. It just goes without saying, it's on everyone's minds, it's not even a secret. But yeah, just the world sucks at the moment, and making it worse with this sort of shit just doesn't make sense. So yeah, this video, fucking audio. So yeah, don't know what else to add, to be honest. I'm hoping that there's a solution at some point. I think money would solve a lot of my problems here, obviously. It's sad in a way. I really do think it would. I think that's the only way it can. Yeah, anyway, I shall move on. Well, just as if we can't get any more dystopian. Apparently there's been a law passed, or is passing rather, in the UK about the fucking what's prescribed as a sort of terrorist organisation, and yeah, it's concerning. Because they can just prescribe it to anything. They can prescribe it to, say, Viva Charity, they can prescribe it to even something like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of another one that's actually good, or maybe Samaritans. Yeah, they probably can actually. But this is the problem, because this law doesn't make any sense, because down the line, everyone is going to be affected. Because everyone is fucking affiliated with something, even if you don't realise it. And your grandparents are probably affiliated with somehow, I don't know, I was trying to think of one actually, it's kind of interesting. I can't even think for some reason. I don't know, say being affiliated with LGBTQ plus organisation, but they're like extremely fucking old, so they don't even know. But they're affiliated because, by blood, their family, there's a family member in that group, maybe even multiple. So, like, what, the grandparents are guilty now? How fucking ridiculous. What a stupid notion. But I also find it absurd as well that you can't really align with any organisation in this, so again it means that they can pick who they want to eliminate. To put in prison for 10 to 14 fucking years. Like, what is that even solving? It's just more taxpayer money down the drain. It's more money for the IDF and Israel, obviously. And, just worst of all, it's going to cause massive fucking disruptions. It's going to cause disruption to society. It's going to make people wonder where the fuck are these people gone. It's almost like a kidnapping. That's basically what this is. So, again, anyone under this sort of organisation, it just means that you're all kind of fucked. But this is kind of why I encourage a stance on things where you don't associate with an organisation. Instead, you do things by, obviously, how you believe it should be done, like grassroots. That's how I've landed with a stance like, I'm not vegan anymore, even though I don't eat any animal products or use any, for that matter. And, you know, you can't prescribe that as a terrorist thing now. You can't even use that against me because I'm not vegan. I don't identify as vegan. So you cannot use it against me, and I think that's the best way to sort of refute it as well. Because apparently in the law they can prosecute you for being part of something without knowing it, but, you know, that's a stupid law, and that's obviously going to change eventually. Because if you can do that, then, you know, it's going to cause problems, but I'd say at least it'll get all of Restore and Reform voters in prison. If they're stupid enough to actually do something like this, to actually get in that sort of sphere. They do weird shit. And yeah, I'll accuse them of anti-Semitism because nobody else is. But Reform and Restore are the anti-Semitics. Biggest ones in society are the ones adding to the divide and creating hatred. And being very anti-Israel. Yeah, what do I even fucking add to it? Again, it's just so dumb. We shouldn't be having this divide from what is essentially a really stupid law. Again, it's ridiculous. You know, I bought like Gaza Cola once in a lifetime, and it wasn't the nicest cola, but at least I supported humanitarian aid. But again, like under this law, like does it matter if it's like past tense or present tense? Like, it really depends. That's why it's such a stupid law. It's an attack on free speech, which is important to note. And it is not serving anyone. It's not even protecting anyone. It's not even protecting Israel. Which is ironically the thing that they're trying to protect here. But it's not. It's just attacking them again and again. This is a fucking problem. You clamp down so hard on people with really stupid rules, and then it backfires. People start to realise that something's not right. They'll start to realise something's wrong, and they'll start breaking open the prisons. They don't care who runs free, because they want to free their family, they want to free their friends. Because you fucking did it. Again, politicians are just so fucking stupid and corrupt these days. I don't know what I can even suggest at this point. Again, it feels like the only way things are going to change is if we see these things firsthand, see what the consequences are, and obviously people will find the actions to do that. Again, it's just ridiculous. But yeah, I think it's just fucking stupid. I think you could have had the law, but without the prescription of like terrorists, I think that requires evidence. Because that's how terrorism should be prescribed, with evidence. You know, someone waving a gun in public, that's terrorism. Someone holding a sign, that's not terrorism. Like, the evidence should be self-evident, if it is what you say it is. But it's not. And this is the thing, I don't even stand for any political party or organisation. I just stand for truth. That's it. Plain and simple. And that's far outweighs anything else. It outweighs the money, it outweighs even just my own sort of personal reasoning, like my sexuality, even gender. So yeah, I can't really say anything else on this because I've explained everything before, and it's again an attack on free speech, which serves to divide us again and serves to cause us many fucking problems in the future. But come on, fuck on. It's ridiculous, and we cannot be allowing this to happen either. I think people do need to start acting and also start even protesting. Like, fuck, I hate to say it, but we need to sort of abandon Palestine at this point. Because we've got far bigger problems on our hands. You know, this, an attack on free speech. And you can protest this without being arrested. Because you're not part of an organisation. Even then, like, Palestinian protesters, they're not even part of an organisation to begin with. So these arrests don't mean anything. When the average sentencing age, apparently, according to Zach Polanski, as I've heard of it, it's like 54. 54-year-old British woman. It shows there's a massive fucking problem in the system. Why are we having these people in here when many more dangerous people should be in there? This is kind of what I'm starting to prescribe, rightfully so, how parties are actually on the side of evil and are defending things like paedophilia and rape and grooming gangs where they do exist. Unfortunately, it's not in the image that Reform and Restore want, but it certainly does exist. But there's also other issues like murderers, domestic abusers, even people who just spread commonly hate speech. And we've got so many problems here that need to be addressed, and it's not being addressed properly by, obviously, the government. The government's failing us. The government's trying to kill us. That's what it comes down to now. So, again, everything's in pretty big danger. Like, it's just fucking nuts. So yeah, I was just trying to think. Is there anything else that could be added? So I don't know why the birds are screaming. Rarely ever hear that. I never used to hear it. It's a really high-pitched scream out there. What the fuck is that? It's creepy. Yeah, I just hope things work out though, because my god, I'm so fucking tired of this. So yeah, let's move on. Well, for the next thing, homophobia and others on. What are we even talking about? Others? I guess I was talking about the general theory that the best stories are Spun seem to attract the worst sort of people. Like, it sounds weird, but hear me out on it. But I think it is true. I think oftentimes the stories that are spun the best to people get the most media attention because that's what it does, and also just people's attention. Because again, people are looking for things. I remember something a few years ago, maybe, or maybe even recent, where it was discovered that people really only respond to outrage a lot better than were it not outrage. Meaning that literally means that they don't have a good story, and that also that implies by virtue of that, the outrage is the thing that generates the most clicks as well, which is concerning. That should anyone else. But that's sort of where we find the issues here. Yeah, like again, I don't know what else to add to this, to be honest, because it's a very creepy sort of reality that we're in here. So the fact that people only ever really focus on this to like draw attention, make media and stuff, and make even just content. It's quite dystopian, and it's not good news. I think it's very frustrating to obviously be seeing that sort of thing. Yeah. What I even had. Yeah, it just sucks, really. I just feel like there's no good reason for this shit a lot of the time, and that's why I have issues with obviously media and general audiences in general. It reminds me of how a lot of the outrage around like reform stuff voters is obviously the reason that they are voting, and he's like one of the few people in the UK that votes because apparently more of them don't. But it's because of the outrage. It's because they're quote unquote fed up of whatever it is. Apparently, because the story always changes, that's the thing. It's never a consistent story. Again, it's a testament to how badly spun it is. But a lot of people don't see that, and oftentimes it comes down to just aspects like what migrants are doing or whatever these people are doing. It really depends, but it's still a problem because obviously this creates issues for a lot of people, even just non-migrants. And so it depends on how you spin the story, really, these sort of topics. And if they spin it well enough, then there is some like backlash, but just things in general that change as a result. Dystopia becomes something else. And so that becomes the main story, that becomes the main talking point for people, as it does for me, to be fair. But I don't base it off of outrage, I base it out of evidence, and that's obviously something that just seems very unappealing to people, and that's why I've also called out the Green Party before for not doing enough about outrage. And they're not really angry enough about migrants, and not angry enough about things like the economy being shit. Even though they say, again, there's like a wealth tax, which I believe they'll do. But many people don't believe them. That's why we run into problems, obviously. Because there's a bit of friction there. And that friction is not good for us. It's not good for the planet, it's not good for the UK. But that's why they need to be more outraged. They need to act like migrants are literally the ones causing all these problems. It's sad to say because migrants have done nothing wrong. But standing by the truth is not going to do anything. It sort of reminds me of just as various. It probably even exists. I don't know exactly. But it reminds me of how there may be a paradox or something where you have to do something in order to enable it to happen. Like, for example, if you just sit around all day, rather than going to like protests when you're able to go to protests, obviously it's not for everyone, then you are just causing the problems for everyone else. You're the ones enabling the far right, the fascists, the Nazis, just everyone awful. It's why you're enabling by doing that. But if you obviously don't go out there and protest, you don't go out there and obviously just punish these people as they deserve it. Again, they're Nazis and fascists, they're terrorists, they deserve it. If you're not doing that, you're not, because like, they're having an impact. It's sort of that conundrum. It's like, do you do something or don't you? Because if you don't do anything, nothing changes. You kind of have to do something, because it has to change. Otherwise we're truly screwed. And it can't be healthy. So I'm wondering about that. What can be done and how it can be done. Trying to think what else. I was just spinning the story better, I think. I think that'd be a far better thing to do. Far better thing to focus on. I do think that is important. I don't really know what else to mention. To be honest, because I kind of talked about everything. You know, it's just a thing. Yeah, literally. So yeah, that's about it. So I'll just go for if people have anything to say on it. Anyway, let's move on. Sort of time from, I think, the last topic. Was it the last one? I can't even remember. No, it was actually the other one. Basically, character design and art styles feeling uninspired. There is something I just realised, because I got a recommendation for an IGN trailer for something that just looks the same as everything else. Again, this looks like the characters from Sunny Over Chance of Raining Meatballs, is it? I don't know, but it's such a fucking weird sort of style, and I gotta admit, I didn't realise this before, but I think I do now. It's Corpo Slop. What else? That's literally what it is. I think they're literally trying to copy each other's style or use the same in some cases for certain studios, and yeah, it's not good. It sort of makes me wonder what Trek 5 is going to be like when that comes out, because I've heard about it and kind of interested, but kind of not. I wasn't a fan of 3 and 4 was definitely not up to par. But again, seeing there's a 5th, I should go watch the trailer now. I don't know why I've never watched it. But it does look concerning, in a way. Trek 5 official teaser trailer, Universal Pictures and Trek. Yeah, I did see the... This is on meme culture one, so let's see. It's got the same intro music. Drawings. Yeah, apparently this is based on an actual book. I don't know how true that is, so... Okay, older donkey. Donkey does look kind of better. Not sure if he's acting donkey like that. And Shrek, not sure. It's about the same with some differences. Got the gingerbread man, his wife's girlfriends, interests, unknown Carter's back. Essentials, America. Sure. Police chase with cars, that looks fun. Remember when that was in Shrek 2, that was like pretty iconic. Pretty sure they had one in that. I'm not sure. There's some other ogres, which is interesting. Is that the children, I'm guessing? Because I heard about the quote trans one, which people weren't happy with. Just, why are they using All Star again? That's fucking Shrek 2 ass. There's nothing really happening there, from what I could tell. It seems concerning. There it is, this trailer for Not Alone. Just if you're just talking about it, looks like the same style again. You know, shows can do something different. They can also have these gimmicks as well as the same sort of style. I liked Despicable Me, for example, that I thought that was pretty unique for what it's doing, even though the minions were annoying as fuck. It's still good, I'll admit. I can't remember 2 that well, and 3 I think it was terrible. Although I think it had some moments actually. Was it Minions 2? God, this is the thing, they can play with so many fucking stories. Just lose track of it over time, and people who have grown up with that just sort of lose it. It's not really easy enough to just identify it. There's also Toy Story 5 coming out. I'm not sure about it. I'm trying to think, like, Toy Story 5. See anything? They're still making Ice Age? Fucking hell. I saw that when I was a kid, like the first 2 or 3 movies. Also, the squirrel was kind of like, what is a squirrel? It's a prehistoric squirrel, anyway. Yeah. But again, I'm worried that this will lose also some of the charm with, like, Shrek. They say it looks bad, but I think they're just showing, like, the worst parts in the movie of Shrek, Shrek 5. Because it generally seems like there could be something there. Again, with, like, exploring more of the sort of fairy tale aspects. There's a lot more going on. It's like mermaids making a reappearance. I remember that in Shrek 2. Fucking Shrek making out with one by accident. It turns out it's not Fiona. It's quite a funny moment though. But it's like that sort of sense of humour that makes it, really. So I think if they can capitalise on that and also attract a older audience, I think that would definitely work. And I see with Donkey singing Roxanne by the Police, maybe it's got something hidden in store, but we don't know yet. Going to be one of those things after wait and see. Speaking of which, I could add to my series is list. There's another thing. Where is it? Fucking Word keeps closing down things I've not even, like, unused. It's pretty recent, I'm pretty sure, with all this stuff. Do Shrek 5. Next, I don't know what the next thing would be. Because I don't keep up on movies and I don't really want to. Because I know that they release a lot of fucking slop. It's just not any point to it. Trying to think, is there anything else here? Yeah, Toy Story 5, yeah. That on there. Ninjas and Monsters, oh god, what the fuck are they doing now? It's just one of those things we have to wait until people play it, probably. Play it, I mean watch it. It's all the same reason I never got into something like, what do you call it? The one in the brains, I can't remember the brain. They're different emotions, like I never got into that. It just didn't seem like my sort of thing. It seems a bit silly too, and compared to something else I'd saw, is it called Elemental? That was a Disney movie I saw, and it wasn't bad. It's just cliche in areas, for sure. certainly had some moments. Gotta give credit where it's due. Yeah, I'm not a big movie watcher. That's kind of the problem. And even then, having movies for pretty old franchises like this is in itself a risky play. Especially updating it and stuff. It has a chance to backfire, and that just will happen, unfortunately. I think people grow up with it and grow out. Essentially, that's how it goes. On top of that, I think there is also a need to make it more likable in a way. As in, some of the changes may be good, like if we do have a somehow trans ogre. Huh? Interesting. But if we somehow have that, that's good. I wouldn't deny it's not a bad thing to have. It's just more up to date with the times, but something then moving on to like the humour, for example, if we're going this route of explaining the joke, which I saw an interesting video of on recent Family Guy. It's basically spoiling all the jokes for you in the recent ones, and basically how it always seems to go to the same thing. So like, either sets up the joke for you to see it later, or doesn't execute it really. Or it just says the joke or explains it afterwards. There's 3 different ways. I can't remember the first one. Again, if it does that sort of thing, it's not gonna work really. I definitely got a bit of a chuckle out of the siren scene in track 5 there in the trailer. But I don't know if there's anything else in it. Like, singing jail scene, like Roxanne, like, okay, sure. I guess that's kind of funny. Singing an old police song. It was in an old The Police song. That's a fucking English conundrum. Yeah, I don't know. But that's kind of what I mean. It's sort of hard to land a spot in some of these things, and I think the best way to go about it is probably a different sort of animation style at this point. I feel like visuals at least, and not giving to Corpo Slop. In fact, one of the things that I'm thinking of with the series I'm writing called Crawl's Roots, which I don't know if it would ever pop off really. The way I've designed the characters is heavily inspired by Studio Ghibli. You might not realise it, but I kind of have. I literally used the Kiki's Delivery Cat as a reference. I tried to keep it simple whilst also retaining some of the very distinguishing features, but also sort of semi-realistic, so it's different. It's different to how something like, what was that crappy one recently? I can't remember the name, but it's like an adult show based on animals. It looked awful. But yeah, I think if I ever had, because I said this before, I said it ages ago, I would have non-negotiables about things. I think the art style, if they wanted it to go like a corpo route, again, Corpo Slop, I'll just say no. That's a non-negotiable. I think when corporate's involved with a creative process, they should just fuck off. The same with anyone who's influenced by a corpo. Just goes without saying. Because I think that's where all these movies go wrong. They have like a round table, and then probably the CEO or someone just fucking sits in there, says, or interrupts, like saying, "Are we going to go?" Someone will say, actually, not the CEO, will say, "Let's make a different sort of animation style. Let's try a different thing for this brand new movie." And the CEO will probably go, "No, the other one's worked fine. It's made in plenty of views and stuff, plenty of money." That'll be all they go off of. Not to mention theatre is outdated anyway, even though there's still a purpose for it, for sure. The problem is, I don't really think people go out for theatres anymore. And I'm pretty sure I've heard people using, like, I don't know, like methods of watching it, like, I can't remember, there's different sites, there's like Dailymotion and Vimeo. They use it for watching the cell phone video recorded one. Which, yeah, people literally do. And it's a bit awkward. Some people are actually able to set up on stands, I think, if I heard it correctly. Yeah, that's just the way people watch it now. Until it obviously comes out in a full release on DVD. Again, it's kind of dumb. I think if you're looking for profits, you should be making a good movie. Otherwise, people might not want to watch it then. I'm not sure how well the box office sales go. I'm trying to think of the most recent flop of a movie. I think of like Borderlands. They tried to make that into a movie that's really bad. I watched it myself, and you know, it's good until a certain point, and then it just got really bad. It was just terrible, poorly written. I can't remember what the acting was like, so I can't comment on that. The visuals weren't great, I don't think, and yeah, the story was just awful. It was a terrible sort of, I wouldn't call it reincarnation, reimagining, that's it, of the Borderlands story. I mean, it did have its gimmick, obviously. I think Borderlands was kind of unique in that sense. You weren't necessarily the good guys, but you weren't the bad guys. But in this, it's just like, yeah, you're the good guys, so okay, great, thanks. Not a fucking great story then. Just no point. And again, they need that for a story structure, but still, why do you even make it to begin with? It was genuinely awful. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to add. It's just one of these topics. Again, Corpo Slop is a real thing when it comes to style, and we do need to stop that somehow. So anyway, let's move on. Yeah, so I've heard already, and to be honest, it's kind of tiring. Yeah, I already hear it. People complaining about physical media being removed from Sony's consoles as of like 2028, I think, or from that time, I mean. And based on what I've heard of it, again, I think the argument was most people will use about, I think it's like 80% or something, still use digital media. And I just feel like, yeah, there's a lot of problems here. I sort of understand why people are mad, but at the same time, I feel like people need to put their money where their mouth is, that sort of thing. You know, I still buy physical games myself, and I try to avoid, obviously, digital ones, except for the Steam Summer Sale, where it obviously puts a wrench in the works because it's now online. But I will say, I do think some of this is blown out of proportion in context with what people do, and you know, physical media, especially for PC, is going to be difficult because you can't necessarily fit everything on a disc, and a USB even holds risks. So, I didn't mind to rhyme like this. Shut up! I can't rhyme. But something needs to be done, obviously. I've still got my, because I used to use this, I don't know, I can't remember what I used it for. It was either like an old game, but I have like a USB DVD scanner thing here, and you know, it's kind of useful at times when I need it. But we sort of need it more in PC cases. That's why I kind of like the Silverstone FLP02, yeah, that's it. It sort of stood for floppy. But that's all the purpose of it, and I sort of wish we had a return to form in that sense, like maybe even some sort of add-on for the side or some part of the PC. It's like a mini hole for the SATA cable to go through for the, say, disk drive and stuff, and even like SD card reader and floppy disk. There has to be something for physical media to be kept. But yeah, I think this conversation is definitely worth having, and people do need to put their money where their mouth is. It's more important than ever, and as I discovered with something like Pokemon here, with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl still going through it, I think I've just beaten the second gym and gone past. No, maybe it's the third gym. No, it's the second gym, and then I was in C to do a Team Plasma also. I'm in some sort of like rocky area, moving into a city now. But yeah, like, one of the benefits of having that physical version of Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl, other than second-handedness, I could trade it for like Shining Pearl or something. Although they'll leave me without a game to transfer, but I don't really care. But the other thing is, it comes with a cool fucking map inside the case, so it's just kind of neat. And that's one of the things you get with this. You get like extra bits with a physical version, and that's always kind of the neat part. And games used to do that a lot. I remember GTA San Andreas, I used to play it on the PS2 a lot. And even though I didn't get brand new, I think it was actually old. I can't remember who bought it actually. I think yeah, it came with like a map and stuff, and it was a fun game with the cheat codes and one of it. But the map was kind of cool. I actually did hang it up at one point and it just fell down, I think. But then GTA 5 also came with a map, and that was incredible. Because it's just the full map of the fucking game, and it's like amazing at that time. I remember getting that, I think the day or two it released. Yeah, I got it at night and it was good. Yeah, it's a fun game for the most part at the time. Certainly interesting. But again, the physical version was superior. But I think PC games are much more difficult, and I think if Valve even allowed an option where you can buy like their own sort of patented discs that only play on Steam, maybe. I don't know, and then burn games to them, or burn them to USBs, and then they offer like a physical case stuff. Like they could do so many good things as a company. Offer an alternative to obviously like digital game ownership, and doing like a transfer, and then like the key obviously goes into that game, and so it's there for someone else to use if they want to. I think it's a very good idea. If I've obviously read it correctly, it'd be kind of cool. And yeah, I do miss physical versions. It goes without saying. It does make me a bit nostalgic too. Just sort of opening up a new case, also peeling the fucking case. That is an old one actually. Anyone remember trying to peel a case and you can't find the fucking bit of plastic to open it? Oh, that's a memory. I had so many games like that as a kid. I had like Transformers Devastation, Just Cause 2, I had 2 copies of that actually, and Battlefield 3, Battlefield 2, like, quite a few like disc versions of games. You can't open the bloody case. It's such a gimmick, it's funny. Annoying, but funny. Then you'd have to get like scissors from downstairs, or depending on where you are. I had my PlayStation upstairs. But you'd have to get the scissors and cut open with that somehow, like find a cut. And yeah, and then one of the annoying issues with discs, at least, is that it wears over time, whereas a USB probably might not, or at least as badly. But yeah, discs were sort of an annoying thing, and there's an opportunity here, especially now these days, to make something different. Again, I sort of think there is a use for something like, I don't know, like a game cartridge sort of thing for computers, like an add-on for the USB, like an SD card reader, or maybe just SD cards. I've got to Spun. Right, I'm gonna move on. So, yeah. Interesting topic, but I felt to talk about this because I was thinking about it the other day. But watching, obviously, the Pokemon anime still, it's been a joy to watch. Starting from late Gen 1 to obviously now Gen 5, getting closer to Sun and Moon, which was my favourite. I mean, they had its own issues, but it was still fun. Really fun to watch. One of my favourite of all times. Because it just had such a unique sense of humour, but Pokemon, it can be really good and it can be just bad at times. But Gen 5 is, Black and White, is one of the stranger ones. And watching this back, I realised the bigger problem with Gen 5 and why it's not memorable. Because I watched it years ago when I was in college, speaking like 2013, 2015 I think. Around those times when I first got into Pokemon games. And it just didn't have any of the fucking flash or fun that the previous installments had in the anime. But yeah, I'm talking about the anime if there's a clear. But it's just so fucking frustrating. because this had potential, and they got rid of Team Rocket, who was like a big deal in this. But they, not only that, they didn't get rid of them, but they just lessened their impact, which admittedly has its own fun ways of doing things and different things there. But Team Rocket is more serious in this, and it's not even that fun. It's just crap in comparison to Gen 4. It was the Diamond and Pearl. The Diamond and Pearl was just so much better in so many different ways, not just the characters, which I see people complain about. It's not even just about the fact that, well, Iris is there. She has an annoying catchphrase, such a little kid. But the main problem for me is probably just that, really. It's just the fact of Team Rocket being less involved, which, again, you can make a clever villain without being too, like, on the nose with the villain. Like, I don't really know how to word it. But basically, you can have fun villains, regardless of whether Team Rocket is there or not. They did try that actually in one of the episodes. It's like a guy who was like stealing stuff. This like superhero guy came along to sort of stop it. But that's really one of the only times they've done that. And then you have like Butch and Cassidy, which are never brought up again. But again, they're just sort of losing the plot in this, it seems. Like they have no proper villain. And I think even Gen 6, to be honest, took that route, but it had the humour replaced with Bonnie and Clement, who are kind of funny in that. So brother and sister duo, obviously, and just had some very interesting moments. I still remember the one where Bonnie was like, I think, asking Clement to propose to someone or something. Some girl that she met, asking her to marry him. I think she even agreed to it. I was like, I can't remember. But that is such a unique aspect. Yeah. But again, I just feel like Black and White was, and is still one of the weakest entries in the anime. It's such a disappointment watching it back, and there being like barely anything. There's so much potential and it's just squandered for whatever reason. I don't understand why. It feels genuinely disappointing and kind of crappy. So yeah, I don't know what to add, to be honest. Just one of these things I really need to see. Can the anime be fun, be interesting? I didn't really achieve that until, or fix it rather, until Gen 7. But they experimented a lot in that. They literally changed it and added a way to, what do you call it? Like make it funny, just make it interesting too. They had so many characters in that as well that the dynamic was different. You had Ash on top of the, rather with the other girls, because that would have been different meaning. Yeah, it's just why the anime is just varied, I think. Seems like a different writing direction each installment, and even then, like Gen 8, I have to admit, Gen 8 was actually shit. I didn't like it at all. It had nothing of note, except for the one episode, and there's one good episode, I think it's 026. Sorry. It's the one where they were sponsored. But also, there was the one with Leon fight. That was good. But it just sucked. And then Gen 9 I haven't finished, and I will need to finish at some point. But I'm waiting until I get to Netflix for that, because I need to go down my list of series to watch. And I'll watch it on Netflix, because that's where they host it, sadly. But even then, the direction that going a different way, I could happily watch it without complaining too much. I do think the characters are interesting. I do know that sadly one of the characters gets a makeover, but yeah, there's potential in it for sure. Also because of the Scarlet Violet cast anyway from the games. Yes, more going for that than the Bulls Sword and Shield. Or whatever it was called, Horizons, wasn't it? Yeah. Anyway, I haven't got much else to add, so let's move on. Something I just realised in and around the discussion of, well, politics and stuff is just the fact that one of the things you have to admit, no matter what side you're on, getting rid of democracy is the stupidest fucking idea ever. Literally. Because anyone with any sort of sanity and a rational mindset will look at democracy and think, yes, it's necessary. But you get idiots who think that it's not, and that causes issues. And it's those people that create the divide, who create the problems. But adding on top of that, the other problem we find is when something goes wrong for the party you're supposedly with, like Labour has in the UK, and like obviously Trump has for the Republicans in the US, when things go so seriously wrong, you need democracy to change that. You need people to be aware that their vote matters and they exist for this reason. If you're fed up of stupidly high bills and ICE, among other things, for fuck's sake, get Trump out of presidency. Start voting. Start making things different. Start voting a different party, for starters. And just do some research. Stop holding on to your fucking morals and stop looking onto these various fucking problems. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you need to just look forward and inward as well. There's no doubt some inwardness that's needed for this to make a decision. But again, this is so fucking insane. We do definitely need this. Like, what else do I even fucking say? This is a problem. But if you remove democracy, and like Labour are doing now, where they're trying to take people out of the picture, because they associate, again in quotation marks there, they associate with an organisation or a group or a type of belief, it's just going to cause more fucking problems. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is just going to ruin democracy and it's going to ruin votes for people. And it's just going to have harsher consequences when you get to the future. Because it's going to mean people are realising the bullshit, they're fed up of it, they're tired of it, and they want to move on. Like we're seeing in the US. Because it turns out from one president to another, even though Joe Biden apparently was better, but I didn't hear much about him, Trump was like the worst president we could have ever fucking had in this second term. It's insane. And again, he looked to dismantle democracy and arrest and even assassinate opposition, which is where there are so many fucking problems. This is why you need to be careful with who you vote for. Because someone like this is an obvious danger, and if you're not doing your research on them, looking at if they've done something criminal, looking at rebuttals or whatever it is, responses, like if people are commenting saying, there's a convicted paedophile and rapist. And you need to look at that. You need to take it, not with a grain of salt, but a fucking handful. Because there's something there that you need to look into. Because it's concerning. The same way I've looked into even Green parties, for example, in the UK, and people brought up Muffin Ali and his views on things. And yes, like the Green Party are the best party for the UK. But people like Muffin Ali, unfortunately, I hate to say it, there is potential risk with him becoming Green Party leader that he might turn this into a very dystopian nightmare. And there's actually kind of a mystery how he is deputy leader anyway, not just because of how controversial he is, but also just the beliefs he has that people are aware of and is on the Wikipedia as well. Now, he hasn't stood very strongly for LGBTQ plus rights. He teaches Islam in the specific Islamic schools, I think. wherever those exist. I don't know actually where they are in the UK. Again, there's a lot of risks, and that's why you need to do your research. So, in terms of like Green Party, like, yeah, there is a risk there. And if anything, I think for the general election, it might just be the Lib Dems for me. Because that'll be the tactical vote moving forward. This is why we need a democracy, like Keir Starmer is unfit, Restore and Reform are unfit, and so are Conservatives. So we literally need someone else. And those people, those parties happen to be the left and the left. Green Party and the Lib Dems. There is nobody else out there who can actually save us from this hellhole, save us from this shit situation. And again, with Labour arresting people for being in the opposition, it's just extremely dangerous, unless this is part of their plan. The fact you are arresting people who would otherwise vote these parties for doing the right thing and just the correct thing in general, it's ridiculous. Like, what the fuck are you doing? It's going to cause more destruction and more pain. And then everyone will start blaming the next party for that, because there's so much repairing to do, and so much democracy is just so stupid. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. I don't really have any other words to say for this, because it's such a, I think ludicrous probably is the term, I'm not sure. It's such a ludicrous thing. It's just absolutely unbelievable. So I don't understand what Labour are doing. That's kind of why I'm going to start calling Keir Starmer just brain dead. Because he barely does anything good. Ever. And the same with Andy Burnham by the looks of it, because he's just going to be a, well, Zach Polanski said, a Starmer, right? So it's just going to be another Starmer. And that's the risk we have with, again, this Labour government, this Labour right. It's important to note that, because people think it's still a left-leaning government, but it's not. They lean right. They're trying to take away our rights, they're trying to take away our economy, to ruin it. Just fucking ridiculous. But I don't have anything else to add to this. It's just such a tiring topic, and, you know, the world is just... it's just in a fucking disaster zone at the moment. Just tiring. And, you know, with everything around climate change as well, which is very much real at this point. Again, it has so many consequences, you can't just say it's just summer. It's a fucking warning. Like, you aren't listening. And until you listen, you don't have anything to say that's of any validity. It's very much a real thing. Because it's going to destroy our ecosystems, it's going to leave us with no food, no water. You're just going to starve and make everyone fucking thirsty. Absolute idiots. And if anything, you're the people who should be arrested, not the people looking at the fucking evidence. Not the people looking at the truth. I mean, the real sense of the truth, because there are people who hijack it, like Trump, who claim they're being truthful, but they're not. Because truth goes down a hierarchy of evidence. And the evidence that Trump doesn't have happens to be a study. And studies are far more powerful than mere fucking words that you pulled out of your arse. And that's an objective fact. It's a fact of life, it's a fact of society. And how we interpret it and use it is obviously a different thing. Again, I stand for truth and the actual meaning of it, not this fake idea of what Trump thinks it means, or even what Keir Starmer thinks it means, or even what like Nigel Farage or Rupert Lowe think of it. Again, we're so much riskier, so we need to fucking care. So I don't know what else to add. Again, this is ridiculous. I just hope that people can take this on board and listen, because it is a real risk here. And I don't think it's really something that's easy to refute, because, you know, if it is easy to refute, I probably would have figured it out, and if it was, people would also respond. But this is the truth of the matter. You can't get rid of democracy, because even then, it could just go wrong. this is why I even say, if you're so scared of an opposing party, try and vote for it. Because it can mean that they are in the right. And the worst that can happen is you have to put up with like 4 or 5 years of the shit that they do. Which unfortunately you have to do with Trump, but unfortunately you have to do with Keir Starmer. And they're pretty much the same, they're both Trumpian. That's pretty much the term now. But again, if it is really such an issue, like, just look into it. If it's so easy to review, so easy to find the evidence for, do it. That's a challenge. And even then, I will admit when party's done something wrong, and that's why I said I didn't hear anything about Joe Biden. When he was in presidency, he didn't really do much. He didn't do enough as far as I'm aware. I think the only thing he did from recent memory was probably gay marriage and making that legal across all states. And he did an interview with people, of someone actually before, I can't remember the channel, but he wrote themselves up for some reason, no idea why. But yeah, it's a fucking disaster, honestly. And you look back on like Barack Obama years and how good they were. In fact, he even got in twice. Again, this is why democracy is so important, because obviously he's showing his age. At a certain point, he has to move on. And he also had to just quit, because, you know, times change and people have to vote for something else, vote for a change. And it's not a bad thing. I'd say the same with the Green Party, Lib Dems. If they've done something bad, then bring it on. That's my challenge. If they've done something bad, you need to at least try it. And then obviously democracy takes its place as it's wrong. Anyway, let's move on. Well, follow up on the spider. Turns out my net curtain is not doing much. It's failing to do the thing it did, but not really enough in the way that you think. So, how do I even talk about this? I guess the weirdness of it comes from having a south-facing window, and this isn't a secret or anything. Well, it was, not anymore. But, you know, it being a south-facing window, you might think, like, yeah, you know, nothing wrong with that, nothing at all, and the only problem is in summer it gets really warm. That's one thing I've noticed about south-facing window. And it's fine, other than that. But it turns out it exposed one of the biggest problems of this net curtain. There's a part at the bottom that won't connect. Nice. So it turns out there's this big fucking gap. So when the sun was shining through, I was like fiddling around with it. I have this pokey thing because I have to reach over my treadmill to reach it. And for some fucking reason, there's just a big gap there. You can see these like rays shining through it, which is not good. And that must be the issue. Luckily I replaced the curtains recently, so I put my old ones there. I'll wash them and put the old ones right there, although it does smell a bit weird for some reason. I'm not sure if it's because an animal maybe laid on the curtains, I don't know. It's hard to tell because this fucking place is full of shit. It's actually impossible to get by with stuff because, you know, we have a conservatory and it's pretty fancy. I don't really like the conservatory, to be honest. Just really finicky and gimmicky. The door especially is awful. But yeah, this house came with it anyways. It wasn't a thing that we installed or anything. I can't really do that anyway as a client of a sport place. But it's very strange. And I guess an animal might have come in and laid on it for some reason in the night. Even though the thing is like shit, the area. But I don't know what happened to it, it just smells a bit weird, but I can't do anything about it now. But yeah, just putting the curtains there and seeing what happens, if any spiders come in. But I don't know how they would though. Why they would even. There's like fucking... I put peppermint oil in one of those goo glass cases, glass things, for the cheesecakes. Obviously I get the vegan ones. And I put tissue in that as well, just to track it better and hopefully protect it. Yeah, it doesn't seem to work properly, it seems, which is unfortunate. Because peppermint's supposed to scare away the old insects, but it doesn't, in my case, for whatever reason. And they keep coming from somewhere. Even found one in the bathroom the other day. I don't know where the hell that came from, because the net on there is pretty on tight, so I don't know how it got in. It wasn't even a big spider, that's the thing. But then again, it doesn't discount small ones, so it's hard to say. But I just get stressed out by this shit, really. A lot of it feels so unnecessary. Why am I not tracking my thingy-majiggy, my artwork? Again, it just feels like an extra complication when I really don't need it anymore. It's just fucking torture. And I keep thinking about the other things that are going on in my life at the moment. I'm needing to get a colonoscopy, for example. Needing to get my teeth done. Just still waiting on, and for some reason they might have referred me to something else. Which I'm not sure why they did that. It's just a bit stupid. That was typical NHS garbage, it seems. But yeah, again, I've got so much going on in my life that I really can't afford to have these things. To have this shit happening in between it, and it could cause me severe stress. And today I literally got on the toilet and couldn't shit. It's constipation, really hard to get out. It felt like a rock was in my arse. And it didn't hurt like one, sadly, as that would have been probably a good thing. As in, I was go to hospital, get it extracted, fecal extraction, or ambulance while it could help. Yeah, again, it's just really, these annoyances play up on me. Doesn't help that also when I had a bath earlier, housemate was loud as fuck. Doesn't seem to have a talking voice, which is annoying. Weirdly enough, I have one. Because, yeah, I don't know, it's just weird. People really need fucking talking voices, because somehow shit I hear from people who just don't know how to keep their mouth shut. It's just insane. I'm a very quiet person, and it does feel off-putting when someone is like talking really loudly. You know, oftentimes even then, like people I know who are quite loud when speaking, even look at others who are speaking loudly. Like, you're fucking judgmental over nothing, mate. You're literally just doing that. Can so many stresses. I've sort of figured out a plan for my computer stuff. I've got some things in store. I might have a way to get money, which is good. The computer stuff, and also guitars. I want to get the bass, I want to get the 8-string. The only problem is I can't really afford it per month necessarily at the moment, unless I really put myself at a disadvantage or cancel a bunch of things I already have. It's complicated again, but again I feel like this is necessary. Also found out something interesting. The case I want to get is a Fractal Meshify 3. And I couldn't find any info on this case, really, that was helpful. Because even the Games Nexus one wasn't that great. I need to double check that, actually. Because that's where I found it. Games Nexus Fractal Meshify 3. It's apparently a very good case for noise and... what's the other thing? Thermals. And that seems to tick both boxes for me. But they use the Ambience Pro, which is... apparently different, but doesn't say what. From what I can tell, it's just the RGB. But what have they got in this system? Do they even have an exhaust fan? Because I was wondering, do you need an exhaust fan? They don't. What the fuck? But they should have an exhaust fan in this, apparently. So that maybe it impacts the thermals. Maybe there's a limit on the fans though. That may be it. Yeah, like in all their tests, it seems to do a lot better than some others out there, which is good. And for the specs that I'm looking at too, it's quite important to protect my components. Let's say the specs for that doesn't seem for some reason. What about the gaming stuff? What's the timestamps? I'm lost. I guess it doesn't really matter that much for benchmarks, or what am I thinking? It's like just based on thermal testing, but it's important to know the components they use, so I'm a bit confused about that. Because I see it will vary based on the components. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm hoping there's goodness in this case. I can't remember if I said I did discover the parts of it I needed to, like the static ports and stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, there's a lot to consider in this. I'm not getting this with like the IGP and stuff. I'm literally getting it for again the function. There's not much else to say on that. Yeah, I've got the benchmarks here. GPU full load, and that's still quite low. GPU memory. The hell is it on this one? There it is. It's still pretty low temperature. It's memory again. It's peakable. Still quite low. Yeah. I'll definitely bring up the exhaust though. No, I don't. Unless I misspelled it. X. No. Or Holst. No, it doesn't come up. Yeah, that's interesting. They didn't test it properly, maybe? It's the same fans in all the cases, okay. Not sure exactly what that means. Maybe it's just the ones it comes with, but then again, they did the 4000D test with, I think, extra fans in it, so I don't know. Anyway, I've got sidetracked, so let's move on. Ah, bloody hell. So I just swapped my dumbbells out because, to be honest, 20 kilograms is too heavy for me. You know, I'm able to lift it and hold it with one hand with ease, even just grab it off the floor. The problem is though, it's very fucking heavy, and that also, combined with the size of it, which is big, I'm pretty sure the weights are designed for a barbell, it also makes it just very complicated to lift and stuff, and do any sort of exercise. So, it's very weird. Like, I don't really know how to describe it exactly. But I bought some new ones, and the difference is night and day. I not only feel more like revitalised, feel the burn more, I also just feel more like energetic and less out of breath with these. So I went from 20 kilograms to 12.5, which is very interesting. The only problem is it drives very sort of oily for some reason. I don't know what the fuck to deal with that. So weird. I've never experienced anything like that before. But it felt very oily, and I used some tissues to help hold it, because for some reason the bar even, is very fucking oily, and obviously there's a dumbbells, I got two. For some reason it's cheaper to get two individually rather than a set. So I just got that. And yeah, again, the difference is night and day. It's kind of insane actually. I never really realised it before, but now I do. It feels very sort of crucial, I suppose. Like, what do I even say? But it makes a huge difference, it seems, and I'm quite happy with it. I literally feel the burn more. The only worry is I feel a few clicks here and there. I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm not sure, for some reason my throat hurts a bit. I don't know what the deal with that is, if that's related. But yeah, again, I just feel the burn more, like I need to rest my arms, because that's how much I did. I did about 12 reps until halfway through, and I did 4 different exercises I tried anyway, because I didn't know what to do. I looked it up before and I couldn't memorise it, I couldn't even understand it, because it just wasn't a simple exercise. And I found one called Brute, I think, which seems like exactly what I need. I'm not planning on working out my legs, to be honest, because I do that enough with my weight and my treadmill. But I might do that at a later date. Not really my sort of thing. But even then, I'm not even fussed about making myself into, well, a brute. It's not really my sort of thing. I just want to be able to lift things, have more stamina. Just easily be able to lift things, I mean. And yeah, just get more fit as well. Like, for fuck's sake, I need to beat the shit out of fascists when they start coming into town. That's one of the main goals of this anyway. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm literally terrified of these people, but I have to understand that they're weaker than me, and so I need to actually have the advantage no matter what. Like, they should become the overwhelming odds rather than themselves becoming overwhelming odds. So it is sort of out of fear and anxiety, but I have no choice. You know, it has to be this way. And I advise other people to do the same. It's really important. You could get some, well, they're not cheap actually, it's like 20 quid each. But you can get dumbbells online at a fair price, I'd say. Don't know why they're so expensive. It makes genuinely no sense. You might as well have been lifting it on your bed. Because my bed is actually really heavy. It's about, the mattress is about 15 kilograms or something, really stupid. And the bed itself, each part is into, so I forgot what it's called now, divan. About 10 kilograms each, maybe. Maybe a bit more actually, because it was a two-person job to lift one. Buddy took the life out of me, that was lifting it and moving it here. Yeah, it's kind of interesting though. So yeah, I'm looking for different ways to exercise in this. I think the main thing is I need to work on my upper body more than anything else, because that seems to be the part where I'm most out of shape. I don't know what the fuck is up with my waist, it's so big. I've never been able to figure out what that was. It's not even like a bone or pelvis issue. I'm pushing on it and, you know, it's just literally expanded out. I don't know what the fuck it is with this. Also, I'm a bit worried I might need a belt, but I don't know. I just kind of don't want to do anything extreme. I just want the fucking bare minimum. That's it. I'm not even asking to be like powerlifting champion or anything. It's just at home, comfortable with myself, my body, and obviously what I'm lifting. Also, I have to upgrade as I go along. But I don't even want to go like high protein, for example. I don't even want to burn off too many calories either. I'm fine with my weight. I'm just trying to be more rational with this, because my weight, as far as I'm aware, is okay. Like 110, 120 kilograms is fine. 140 is a bit too heavy at the moment. Again, I'm just trying to be reasonable with it and not go extreme. So yeah, don't really know what else to add, to be honest. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm gonna go and play Miku on the Witch's Mountain. The most masculine game you can play. So yeah. Anyway, wait, is this podcast? No, it's not long enough yet, so anyway, let's move on. You know what? Fuck you, fuck me. I'm gonna make an outro. Yeah. There isn't really anything else to say in the podcast. I will say that there's some mental health updates. I think I did come out eventually. I can't remember if I explained it. It doesn't change a ton, but it does leave me with a bit more confidence and I suppose comfort in a way as well. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it'll do, I guess. That's the thing with this. It's such a personal topic for me, and it's not necessarily touchy, but just personal. And it does matter to me, that's why I came out. Otherwise, I wouldn't have needed to. It wouldn't have mattered. But I will say, in terms of mental health, I think I'm noticing an improvement. This morning, even though I had some stressful moments, I still came out of it okay. I didn't get immediately burnt out, which was curious, because obviously would have half expected that. So it's interesting. Yeah, and again doing the weights, did I? Yeah, I did talk about them. But the weights were a big deal too, weirdly enough. It might not seem like it would, but they do. I feel the burn and feel like it's making a difference, and I even feel like it's changing my form already. I haven't even done it properly. Yeah, it feels like it's changing my form. I also feel a bit stronger as well, like I almost lift myself up entirely with my arms. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I don't really know what else I could say. Just thanks for listening, I guess, and see everyone next time.